I'll say it as a fan and nothing else. Seeing the depth of our wide receiver room finally reach elite status makes this upcoming season feel like a championship run. Head coach Mike Macdonald confirmed that second-year receiver Torrey Horton is on track for a return at training camp after a tough rookie year defined by injury. This matters because it gives the Seattle Seahawks an incredibly dangerous rotation featuring Jackson Smith-Njigba, Rashid Shaheed, and Cooper Kupp. And honestly, the more details come out, the harder it is to ignore what is going on behind the scenes. Hit like, subscribe, and drop your name and city below. We are a brand new channel pushing toward our first 1,000 subscribers, and every single person who joins this community helps us keep going. Let's get into it. The Seattle Seahawks have high hopes for second-year wide receiver Torrey Horton, who is currently working his way back to full health after a difficult rookie season. Fans will remember that his promising debut year came to an abrupt halt in Week 9 due to persistent shin and groin injuries that ultimately landed him on injured reserve. Before the setback, Horton flashed real potential as a legitimate red zone weapon for our offense, hauling in 13 receptions for 161 yards and 5 touchdowns. According to John Boyle, Seahawks head coach Mike Macdonald noted that while Horton likely will not be at 100% this spring, the expectation is that he will be ready for the start of training camp this summer. For us, this news brings a sense of relief because his presence in the red zone is a massive asset. The organization has clearly prioritized depth to insulate the roster from these types of health concerns, having traded for Rashid Shaheed to join a crowded room that already features Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp. What nobody is talking about, however, is how this depth fundamentally alters our draft strategy. With only 4 picks available to us, the front office is now in a position where they must be incredibly selective, likely ruling out the addition of another receiver despite the temptation to bolster the group further. Having this many starting quality pass catchers makes our offense one of the most dangerous units in the league, but it raises a pressing question regarding the distribution of targets. If we are genuinely 4 deep at wide receiver, how does this competition impact the development of young players like A.J. Barner? And will this surplus of talent force the coaching staff to abandon traditional personnel groupings to keep everyone happy on the field? The most surprising reality facing our roster is that the front office has effectively pivoted away from using our limited draft capital on wide receivers entirely. This shift stems directly from the decision to prioritize immediate veteran depth following the unfortunate medical setbacks that sidelined our talented second-year player last season. We saw a flash of brilliance during those first 8 games where he logged 13 receptions for 161 yards and 5 touchdowns, establishing himself as a genuine red zone weapon before his shin and groin injuries forced him onto the injured reserve list in Week 9. Historically, relying on such a young prospect to anchor a passing attack is a gamble, and by trading for Rashid Shaheed and securing him with a 3-year contract, the organization chose stability over the uncertainty of a rookie draft pick. And I cannot stress this enough, having this level of proven talent behind Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp changes how Mike Macdonald designs our weekly game plans. Behind closed doors, leadership clearly values the insurance policy that a deep room provides, especially when you consider how rapidly injury attrition can dismantle even the most promising seasons. They are essentially banking on the fact that 3 starting quality receivers on the field simultaneously will overwhelm defensive secondaries. With only 4 draft selections available, general managers have to be incredibly surgical, and focusing on other positions of need makes perfect sense given the proven production already in the building. As fans who have watched this team evolve, we understand that depth is the primary currency of a championship-caliber roster. By ensuring our core group is fully healthy for training camp, the coaching staff is positioning this team to sustain long-term success without needing to gamble on unproven prospects when we can instead reinforce our defense or offensive line with our remaining precious picks. Securing the health of our roster is the ultimate priority for this organization as we look to build upon our championship foundation. The update from John Boyle regarding Torrey Horton serves as a vital reminder that depth is the lifeblood of a successful campaign. While it is tough to hear he will not be 100% this spring, having him ready for training camp provides a major boost for our tactical versatility. The bottom line here is that we are now arguably deeper at wide receiver than anyone else in the league. By bringing in Rashid Shaheed to pair with Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp, we have effectively reshaped the offense. With Horton expected back to full form, this creates a formidable quartet that will force opposing defensive coordinators to pick their poison on every single snap. This level of talent ensures that if an injury strikes, our standard of play remains high. Regarding the upcoming season, these moves position us to dominate our division rivals with a distinct schematic advantage that keeps defenses guessing throughout all 4 quarters. We are no longer scrambling for options in the red zone because Horton proved his value with 5 touchdowns in his limited time on the field. This strategic depth changes the math for our front office regarding the NFL draft, as we can now focus on the best available talent rather than feeling forced to fill a specific vacancy. Given our current count of 4 draft picks, this flexibility is a massive asset that protects our long-term trajectory. We are clearly entering the new season with a roster built to win under the guidance of Mike Macdonald, ensuring that we remain a difficult team to beat for every opponent on the schedule as we aim to defend our status as league leaders. The prospect of Torrey Horton returning to the field is a major boost for our depth chart, especially when you consider how effectively he performed during his limited time as a rookie. Recording 13 receptions for 161 yards and 5 touchdowns in just 8 games shows he possesses a rare instinct for the red zone that is hard to coach. By pairing him with the explosive talent of Rashid Shaheed, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Cooper Kupp, we have built a receiving core that forces opposing defensive coordinators to pick their poison on every single snap. However, we must remain grounded regarding the physical reality of his recovery from those significant shin and groin injuries. Relying on a player coming off a stint on injured reserve is always a calculated gamble, and we have to be prepared for the possibility that he might not regain his full explosiveness immediately. According to John Boyle, Mike Macdonald confirmed that Horton likely will not be 100% this spring, though the goal remains for him to be ready by the start of training camp. Here's the thing nobody wants to say. Having such a deep room is fantastic until the salary cap creates tough decisions regarding which veteran talents we can actually afford to keep long-term. Analysts around the league are currently debating whether this depth makes us the most dangerous offense in the conference, or if we are simply crowding a room that needs more focus on other positions, like the trenches. The way I see it, while it is exciting to have this much firepower, we should not ignore the risks of relying on a player who has already dealt with soft tissue issues this early in his professional journey. Regardless of the outside noise, having Horton ready for Week 1 is the most critical milestone for this entire unit. With the Seahawks building such a deep receiving core, the franchise is clearly prioritizing high-level stability and production to sustain our recent championship success over the next several seasons. By pairing Jackson Smith-Njigba, Cooper Kupp, and Rashid Shaheed with a recovering Torrey Horton, we are creating a versatile, veteran-heavy offense that can withstand the physical grind of a long season. Here's what people are missing. This depth allows our coaching staff to dictate matchups rather than being forced to rely on unproven talent. As Seattle Seahawks fans, we should feel incredibly confident about this trajectory, because having 4 legitimate starting caliber receivers gives us a significant tactical advantage against any defense we face. It transforms our passing attack into a unit that remains dangerous regardless of injuries or individual slumps. Because we have invested so heavily in established talent, we can be much more strategic with our limited draft capital this year, focusing on the best available players rather than feeling pressured to fill gaps at wide receiver. This smart, patient approach ensures that our roster remains formidable throughout the entire schedule, keeping our window for another title wide open. It is a sign of a front office that understands how to manage resources for long-term health while keeping the pressure on the rest of the league. Now that we have established a clear pecking order at receiver, do you believe Torrey Horton will reclaim his role as our primary red zone threat once he returns to full health for training camp? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. We are still pushing toward our first 1,000 subscribers, and every one of you helps us get there. Go Hawks! I'll see you in the next one.